And 3, 2, 1. Well, hey John, how you doing?
Good, how are you, my friend?
Good. Well, we're gonna get the ground running today, because there is a lot to talk about. We've been trying to get this all set up, so as we've been trying to get everything set up, everything has been flashing past us, and yeah. So, a couple things we're gonna talk about today. I know we were gonna talk about China. If we can, we'll get to that last. Just because, like I said, a lot of stuff kind of happened in the past week. So I want to talk about the elections first off. Just how everything's kind of going. I got a couple articles we'll talk about. After that, we'll talk about the riots and stuff that are surprisingly still going on. After, I think this is like I think we're on day 72 or something like this of rioting. And then some interesting stuff popped up about Epsteine case that's been going on. Some stuff got published, and nobody else seems to be talking about this, so we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
All right. So John, you know what a war game is, right?
Yes.
Right. All right. So for those of you who don't know, the military does this all the time. I actually took part in one. It was fun. But what it is the military will do these practice scenarios about what happens, what to do in a case by case. Like, oh, if this happens, they attacked our airfield. How are we going to retaliate? That kind of thing. But interesting article came out that the Democrats and some Never Trumpers did their own war game. This is some pretty scary stuff. So all these people got together, and instead of mapping out a conflict, they mapped out how the last couple of days of the election and the day of and the days after would be affected if certain scenarios happened. Do you know who John Podesta is? Does that name ring a bell to you?
It does ring a bell. Yes.
You should know, yeah. 'Cause he was Hillary Clinton's, I think, campaign manager.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he practiced as Biden. He was Biden in this scenario. And the game was, I think there was like 4 different scenarios. One of them played out like the last one, like our last election, but it was the opposite, where Biden won overwhelmingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other 3, scenarios were kind of scary. So let me get to the article over here. It wasn't this one. Oh, so one of the scenarios ended with. Oh, you're good. One of the scenarios resulted in the entire West Coast seceding from the Union, essentially starting a civil war, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was in a surprise move. John Podesta, who was playing Joe Biden, refused to concede, right? So there is merit. There is merit to this, though, and I do see what they're talking about, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But he refuses to secede or to Trump, and he says no, and he convinces a couple of these states. I think it was like Michigan, Illinois, and there was like one other one, to send delegates from Trump's campaign. You know how like the electoral college, you get so many delegates, but he like convinces these delegates not to go to Trump's side but to his side, and then go to some of these, the West Coast wouldn't take Trump's presidency, so decided to secede from the Union, essentially causing a civil war. Um, this is scary because this is essentially looking into the mindset of what the Democrats are thinking, I think. That they completely refuse to acknowledge that Trump is the president and that he can win. I don't know how you feel about it, but
Yeah, actually, can you?
and we're back. Okay, so that first one we were talking about was the war game. That's from USA Today, and for everybody or sorry, not USA Today. This is from Breitbart, which I guess this is actually from the New York Times. But anyway, so for everybody who's listening, I'm gonna read like the top. Essentially, it's saying that the Democrats are contemplating secession and a potential civil war as they game out possible scenarios for a closely contested election, according to a report by Ben Smith at the New York Times. Again, this is kind of scary. So, I guess from what I've also read as well, that John Podesta, he wanted to contest the last election with Hillary Clinton. He didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to give it up. But I guess the powers that be, I don't know if it was Hillary or somebody else, said no, he lost. So I think this is kind of a look into the eye of both what the Democratic Party is right now, which is 100% pandering to the left. Now, and mind you too, as well, there are quote unquote Republicans in here as well, but they're all apparently never Trumpers who want to see him out of office. Will this happen? What do you think? Any of these scenarios that they're talking about?
Yeah, reading through this, a few things kind of pop out at me. I shouldn't say that. Normally I would say, no, I don't really think they would do that. But with as much, quite frankly, disdain and hatement, I would say, the Democratic Party has for our president in office, it would not actually surprise me if they would around.
So I'm up in the air. Normally I would say no, I don't think this would be possible. But there's one major change that's happened, and that's Trump. And that, well, I guess there's two: Trump, and that there's camps, right? You're either a right or you're left. There's kind of like this no middle or in between anymore. And I think I would consider it tribalism. Now, the one reason why I say no, so if you actually look back at elections, Democrats, unless it's been a landslide victory by the Republicans, Democrats have always fought it. They've never actually 100% conceded, and I don't know if that's the right word, but they've always fought, like they've always, no, we won, we want to recount, like that kind of stuff. They've always done that unless it's been a landslide. That mixed with what you and me see, where you got these crazy people burning down Portland and these major cities, I don't know. Because we kind of saw a glimpse of that in 2016, where these people just went nuts. People were going like, there's always that famous photo of the chick at I think it was at Trump's inaugural speech or whatever, where she's just on her hands and knees just screaming. And I think that's been feeding. That was like the beginning, and now it's feeding more and more. And we're seeing now, instead of them just crying about it, they're actually using violence to try to push their left agenda. So I don't know. I mean, California's crazy as it is. Would they secede from the union? maybe. I mean, it is 100% Democrat controlled.
If any state would, I think it would be California.
Yeah.
Oregon and Washington, yeah,
I can see that as well.
Not right. Like it's been a progression. If you've kind of seen just the landscape of the states, they have changed through the years. California, since I can remember, because I've been actively reading and following politics, has always kind of been
crazy.
You got the rest of the country, and then it's like it's California. They march to the beat of their own drum.
Oh yeah, they do. So that's why I don't know. I really don't. And this might be this them playing this war game out and doing it this way, where John Podesta, who's playing as Biden, says no, I'm not going to concede, and I'm going to actually try taking electoral college votes that Trump should have won, and stealing them from him to win the election. I don't think it's ever happened before. I don't know if people. I know the electoral college is instead of the actual populace, you elect that person to elect for you, with the whole numbers and everything. I don't know if anybody's actually ever switched. So I don't know. I mean, that is possible, because technically they can vote however they want. If that were to happen, that'd be kind of chaos, I believe. EPC, and again, that would lead to, I think, people actually standing up and be like, "Yo, that's not cool." And one thing I actually did read about this, and this is actually going to kind of roll into the next thing we're going to talk about. In the end of this article, it's saying that because it'd be so narrowly, it would be for one of these wins it was a narrow win, and each side was contesting because of votes, and there was voter suppression and all of this stuff. People would stop looking at the media, who usually announces who wins, kind of thing, and instead everybody, the population, takes a step back and they wait to see what the military does. Which, again, I don't know. I know a lot of people think the military is extremely right. In most cases it is, but there are people in the military who are very left as well, which it's been slowly seeping in through different programs that people keep sneaking in. When I was in the Marine Corps, it was General Amos, and he was extremely lefty dude. So again, I don't know, but so like I said, leading into this, the reason why people were waiting is because of mail-in voting, right?
Right.
So Democrats have been very much pushing this mail-in voting thing since COVID hit, right? Because they say, it's not safe to go to the polls anymore because you can get COVID. In this case, they're pushing this mail-in voting. One of the things I've seen, right? So there's a couple things, and I don't have an article for it. I should have gotten it, but maybe I did. Hold on. Yeah, so I think it's like New Jersey, and I know 100% New York. These guys are still waiting. I think it's been over a month now. Some of these elections that happened a month ago, they're still not done counting ballots because they keep finding them. They keep coming in because they were lost or whatnot. In that scenario, and this is something I think we actually nobody's talking about either. I think we have to be prepared that come election night, we're so used to like finding out that night or the day before or the next day, that morning or whatever, like who won. That we should be prepared not to know who's going to be president for about a month, probably, or more. I know you and me both don't like election or mail-in voting because I think there's a lot more invitations for fraud.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just there's so many factors that go into it. I saw a thing, I forget where it was, but it kind of summed it up, how I think of it. If you won the lottery, would you choose to have your cash mailed to you, or would you go pick it up? You tell me.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
I love the Postal Service, but I also know the Postal Service cannot be the most reliable service in the world. Like,
100%.
stuff happens.
Yeah.
So it becomes like this. I've always, it seems one of those fundamental things. Like if you feel that strongly, and you should, for who you're voting for, take the 15 minutes out of your day, go vote. It's important. Like, go vote.
Yeah, 100%. And again, my thing is too. If you can go to Walmart, Target, the grocery store, and stand in an aisle trying to pick something out, you can go vote.
I can drive with a camera to any store within 10 miles of me, and I can show you a packed out store. Apparently you don't get COVID at Walmart, Target, CVS, or your food store, but you do if you go to the polls.
Yep. And and I think this is the left and the Democrats just trying to assure themselves a victory. Now, they cheated last election. They definitely cheated this last election, and they still lost. Again, Hillary was a horrible candidate, but this gives them wiggle room. So, because my thing is, and we've seen this before with absentee ballots and stuff, which actually goes to the mail. You will find the last election I remember hearing like, oh look, we found 10,000 cases of votes. They were just thrown in this trash can. Oh, this was stuck back in the back of a mail car. And again, it's like there's that chain of custody of like you don't know where that's been. You don't know. There's a lot you don't know. That somebody could have just put them there and be like, look what I found, kind of thing. So and then to make my case, so there was.
I apologize. I haven't want to guess. How did you get in here? You need to go. Come on. Where's your mother? Your mother's not being very responsible here. There you go. Sorry. For
everyone who can't watch, it's John's dog.
Promise. Probably.
Forced his way in. What was where's the article here? So here it is. West Virginia man, mail carrier, guilty of election fraud after altering ballot requests to Republican. And see, this is I'm not even trying to make this point. He's changing votes to Republican. Thomas Cooper. This was in like I said, West Virginia, attempted election fraud. He just altered mail. He just altered a few election. What are they called? I don't know. Ballots.
Well, and that's the thing you have to look at too. I'm not even saying this is just a strictly Democratic. Because if you do it, it's a crime. So if you commit it, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat, and there's going to be it both ways.
I think
it's completely. I just don't understand. I've never thought it was a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea on either side, just because it leaves a lot of room for.
Oh yeah. That's the exact point. Like, any of this stuff doesn't matter if it's right or left. It matters. It matters because there's, like I said, that chain of custody. So when you're at the ballot box, it's literally you and the computer or the puncture thing, whatever it is that they use.
Correct.
You hit it and you're done. Like, they can't. There's arguably you can alter it, but there's a lot less chance of that because it's literally you, bang, and you're done. Now, if you're doing this via the mail, you have to mail it in, and who knows how many people touch that thing before it actually gets where it's supposed to be. That's the point. And also, okay, there was a. And also, and going back to real quick, so real quick, we'll finish this subject before I go back. But there is, so in New Jersey, there's a massive computer issue at the U.S. Postal Service where it was crashing whatever they used to, like, I guess, sort it or whatever, and it crashed it because there was so much mail from the votes coming in, and I guess it screwed up their system entirely, and they're not sure. They're not sure which ballots are legit and which ones aren't anymore. And somebody else was saying the same thing in New Jersey. And this was in Paterson, New Jersey. 1 in 5 mail ballots were rejected as fraud. So it was like 19% of the ballots that were cast were disqualified. Like, and that's a high, crazy number. Now so this was just for, I think, local elections and your, like who you want to run for president, which is usually generally a lot lower. Now, imagine this on, November 3rd, or the weeks leading up to it, like, that number is going to be not 13,000, but like probably a couple 100,000. And they're having this problem with just, that many votes. Imagine.
Small number.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I think I just going off these numbers that they're giving me, and I'll read this for everybody real quick. So this is from Real Clear Politics, and the city council election. So this is just a city council election. So obviously you're not going to get crazy high numbers for this. 16,747 vote-by-mail ballots were received, but only 13,557 votes were counted. So it's more than 3,190 votes, which is 19% of the total ballots that were cast were disqualified by the Board of Elections. Just due to the pandemic, everybody's doing this mail-in. Over 800 ballots in Paterson were invalidated for appearing in mailboxes improperly bundled together, including one mailbox where hundreds of ballots were in a single packet. These bundles were turned over to law enforcement to investigate potential criminal activity. Man. So it's like somebody's like just giving one person a couple hundred ballots. But this is the thing, right? So just a couple hundred does make a difference. So the incumbent member, William McCoy, lost by only 240 votes. So imagine 2 people got 100 packs, that could have been that guy's election. That could have been the turning, And going back real quick, this is my point. This is why I said election night, and nobody's talking about this, but we should all be prepared to be waiting more than a month plus, just because of how screwed up this is. And like I said, New York is still, they might have just finished, because I couldn't find an article it was like July 27th, but it was reading that they're still they were still they hadn't even gotten to the absentee ballots yet. They were still counting the mail-in votes. And that's the city of New York, right? So imagine that election night, like you're just sitting you're just sitting and waiting, and you don't hear anything because it's like, well, you know how they had that little ticket counter, the little tick that's like, okay, we've counted like 50% of the votes, you won. As all the votes are coming in, imagine it stops at like 50, and they're like, that's it, we got all of them, and you're like, what? It's like, yeah, now we're waiting for the mail-in votes. What? And then it's day 3, and it's only gone up by 1 point, and you're just like, okay, we need to know who the president is, and everybody's getting on edge, That's the thing, and that's what I'm worried about, is because of the climate of everything right now. What happens when that happens? And people are just waiting and waiting and waiting, and you get people who are like, okay, you get, how, again, when everybody was kind of locked in COVID, everybody's kind of like jittery, like, what's gonna happen? Like, are we allowed to go out soon? Are we not? Like, everybody was kind of like up in the air of what was going on. Now imagine that waiting for the presidency. A lot of people take this very seriously.
And it builds a powder keg. It's the same as, I know we want to talk about this, leads into the riots. It's very easy to incite people who are already on edge. It doesn't take a whole lot to push you right over that edge. Like, you're here, and all it's doing is doing this, and the edge is right there. You're just gonna fall right off. Like,
oh yeah,
it take a whole lot, and something as big as a presidential election. Well, that determines your, you know what I mean? Like, the next 4 years, you don't know how to even react. Like, it's going to make people go bonkers and go crazy and do things that we've never even seen yet. Like, I don't even think we've tapped the crazy. And you know this, you can attest to this. How many times every time I call you, I didn't think it could get this crazy, but it is. Like, I don't think we even. It's the tip of the iceberg. Like,
100%.
You're going to be in uncharted waters.
Yeah. And that's why. I don't know. And that's why, going back to that first article we were talking about, when I say I see this is kind of the whole war game thing, I see it as a gateway into like looking into the Democrats' mind and what they're thinking. But at the same time, they might not be far off with like this whole civil war, people seceding, people waiting to see what the military is going to do, just because of how look, this year 2020 has been freaking crazy as it is. So like a year ago, if you said, oh, this board game and people were talking about seceding, I would have laughed. But now I'm like, 2020 has been this crazy freaking roller coaster. I don't know. Like, I didn't think we would have. I didn't think we were going to be seeing these crazy riots. I didn't think we would have been told to stay inside for months on end. Yeah. So, and I think that's what would happen is if we're waiting day in and day out and nobody knows, you're going to probably see these lefty guys who are already rioting be like, Biden's president, and just start doing the same thing all over. Excuse me. Because I think they would. I honestly do. And that kind of leads us into the riots. So,
real quick, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we jump to that, on the article, on this article about the war games, I would this is going to be my 2 minutes of humor. If you go down and scroll down to the comments page, I always read comments. Okay?
Yeah.
It's funny to kind of hear what people think.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 5, because they're just.
Go ahead.
I quote, secession and civil war, 4 question marks, sounds like a win-win. The next one is, they do know we, in quotations, have all the guns and ammo, don't they? Followed with, the Trumpians should wargame rounding up and locking up in prison all of these demonic rats, all of them, in the picture of this article are corrupt. And the last one, which I find absolutely hilarious, is blockade and starve them. Then the dumbasses will burn the cities down, and after that they can sit in the action. That is just, it's just funny. It's very entertaining to read. People, you read it, and you're like, that is like people's anger, and just, this is their outlet. Like, this is how people are angry about this. People who read it,
yeah,
they get, understandable. Like,
oh yeah. Now, and again, we're not condoning violence or anything, but
no, I'm not condoning any type of violence, but it is,
yeah,
it's interesting. It's insightful to see.
Yeah, and kind of like the whole, the Trumps round him up and send him to prison. It is funny because I think this will be another episode, because that'll be way too much to go into. But Barr and Durham, there's a Durham report coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Barr, and I guess Trump has already seen it. And he's made some comments, and I'll have, again, this will be another time, but it sounds like people might be getting arrested, and that sounds a lot like the Democrats, because it's what we've seen that's been leaking out, where Trump was being spied on. Like, it's confirmed now. Trump was being spied on when he was running for election, before he was in power and stuff, before he was president, which is 100% illegal. And there's probably more stuff in there, but again, that'll be for another time. But it is interesting, because I honestly think all of this stuff is intertwined. But again, that'd be like a whole day podcast of us trying to tie everything together. Yeah. So again, we'll come back to that, but remember that for next time, guys. Maybe that'll be our next one. I can't remember when the Durham report. There is no timetable. I believe it's supposed to drop before November. So it might be like that October surprise. So I will be keeping my eye out for that. Excuse me, it's too close. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I seriously, the guy, they made their own bed. Yeah, I don't think you read that one, but it was like the next one. Laughing, they made their own bed. Yeah, they really did. And again, it's like, and so that'll lead us into these riots and stuff. Real quick, I know it's not an article or anything, but all these states where all these major riots are going on, they're all Democrat. And actually, real quick, it was there's a congressman. Oh, what's his name? Dan Crenshaw. Do you know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's the senator or congressman, I can't remember, from Texas. He posted something today. So this is what he's saying. When a pattern of outcomes, high crime, homelessness, tolerance for violence emerges, and a particular political party runs a city, it should become obvious that this political party is bad at governing. And again, these are all majority. I know there have been riots in some red states. Majority of these guys are Democrats. Republican states haven't been extremely tolerant of this stuff. Yeah. So if anybody who is listening, this will probably be our first major podcast. and you're in a Democrat state. Like, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you, but at the same time, you guys made your own bed. If you keep voting these people in, nothing's going to change. It's like a lot of these shootings that do happen are in not all of them. Again, this is happening in Republican states too. But a lot of the stuff, especially like with police shootings and stuff, are in these Democrat-run states. And the police, I feel for the police because I think they are underfunded, undertrained, and all that kind of stuff. And this it comes back to bite them. And then the people who the political party that they work for, they don't work for, but for the city, just abandons them. And that's horrible. So anyway, so first article we're going to talk about. Actually, so the first thing I do want to talk about, and it's a video. Do you have the video up?
I'm getting there. Hold on.
Oh, you're good.
Sorry.
So this will be my first thing of editing. So I'm gonna see if I can edit this video in. Actually, what I'll do is, yeah, let me know when you're ready.
We are good.
Okay. So I'm gonna slide this over, so I won't be able to see you for a second.
Right.
Alright, so I have it playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I just played like 20 seconds of it. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so that's essentially, that's Antifa. And instead of burning down the city like they have been, they are moving into residential neighborhoods. This to me is kind of scary. And I knew this was coming a couple weeks ago. Eventually I knew they were going to get tired of burning down the city, or they've burned everything down and there's nothing left. So a couple of things. One, they're going into these suburbs, these residential areas. Now, unlike the city, police times vary. You know,
Right.
you and me know this. Obviously, if you're in a city, there's usually like a cop every corner. Out here, I know where you and me live, it's more country. I can call a cop. I can call the police. I don't know how it is to you, but it's going to take them a couple minutes to get to me. Which is why I'm pro Second Amendment, because I don't think these people understand, especially if they come from a city that, yeah, you can't just call a cop and they're literally like a couple seconds away, normally. Yeah, I don't know where this is. Well, actually, this says it was in Portland. Yeah, that's scary though. Yeah, and in this video that you're watching, I didn't want to play the whole thing because it's kind of just the same thing, but they kind of cornered this woman in front of her door. Now, when you're watching it, so there's a couple things. These Antifa guys have been using this tactic, and they haven't been able to follow up with it, but they did use this tactic when they were attacking the federal courthouse a couple weeks ago. So they have these lasers, right? We in the military, we actually use these lasers. Probably way they're different, right? But it is a the way we use it is a um, non. I can't remember the word now. It won't hurt you. It'll hurt, but it's not going to kill you, right? So what it does with whatever we have in the military, it's like does a burst of this laser, right? And you shoot into this crowd, and you only do it in bursts, right? So what it does, it'll blind you for I think it's like 30 seconds or something like that. Now, what these guys are using with this laser, it's not a burst. It is a literal like, if this gets into your eye, you're gonna go blind. And when Barr was doing his testimony, I think it was a week or two ago now, about these Antifa guys, he mentioned that there were a couple agents who they're not sure if they're going to get their eyesight back. Like their eyes are going to be probably permanently damaged from this. And you see it doing this poor woman. Probably didn't do anything. She's probably just coming home, or she's sitting at home, watching TV, and then these guys show up and are destroying property. She probably came outside like, what the hell's going on? I know if this happened to me, I don't know what I would do. I know Pennsylvania, you guys have the castle doctrine.
Correct.
Yeah, so you could stand outside with your rifle.
Yes. And believe you me, I would. If again, I look at like I always think this. Look, if you're coming onto somebody's property and you are there with malicious intent, whether that's to steal, whether that's to vandalize, inflict harm on whoever is there. If whoever owns that property, it is their right to defend the people that are there and the property that's there. And I don't care who you are, I don't care what affiliation you're with, or what group, or what political affiliation. I don't really make a difference to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, you're committing a crime. Like,
yeah,
it's a crime.
Yeah,
and it should be prosecuted accordingly.
Oh yeah. That's why I like the castle doctrine. I don't know how Pennsylvania's is written. I just know it's like, essentially what the castle doctrine is your property is yours, and if somebody tries to do harm, to do damage, or to hurt you, you can defend yourself. I'm up in Vermont. Lovely Democrat utopia up here. Now, see, this is where this is why I'm trying to fix my house, and we're gonna move, because I live in this Democrat utopia. And I've looked up cases. So Vermont not legally has a castle doctrine, right? But it does say, like, there have been cases where it's like somebody breaks in, you have the right to defend yourself. Now, this is why I don't trust that, though, because what if I get a leftist judge? What if I get a leftist jury? And even though in the past this has been, put in stone, that you can defend yourself and you won't be prosecuted. If I were to get that, I have 100% a feeling that I'd be screwed. And even though somebody broke in, or these guys showed up to my house and were breaking my windows, and I shot back and I hit somebody and I killed him, I have a feeling I'd be probably thrown in prison. I wholeheartedly do. Which is kind of scary, because where I live, I'm not going to say where I do, because I know Unfortunately, if this does take off, people will probably try to find me.
Yeah.
Hey, it happens, man. I keep hearing that, like, you got these guys, Ben Shapiro, he has to have hired security, and there's this guy, Tim Pool, I believe his name is. Same thing. Like, he doesn't. It says where he's in New Jersey. But he gets threats all the time, and people try to dox him. But there wasn't any riots up here, but there were a lot of protests. They're more specifically pointed at the police. But again, who knows? What in this climate, you never know. I just know if that was me, I would probably shoot. But again, knowing my state, unfortunately, I'll probably go to jail. And I feel for this woman because same thing. She's probably, I don't know again what the gun laws are out there, so I don't even know if she could have a gun. I really don't. She might really not have a way to defend herself, even if she wanted to.
She was in Portland, correct?
Yeah.
So I brought up here just for craps and giggles the Castle Doctrine, and for the state of Oregon, it says, and I quote, use of force justifiable in a range of scenarios without a duty to retreat specified in the Oregon Supreme Court, affirmed in State of Oregon versus Sandoval, that the law sets out a specific set of circumstances that justify a person's use of deadly force, that the person reasonably believes that another person is using or about to use deadly force against him or her and does not interpose any additional requirement, including a requirement that there be no means of escape. So,
okay.
In layman's terms, yes, you could use
force.
According to the legal system, you could use force.
Now, what are their gun laws, though? That's the thing.
Well, that, and again, you have to dig into because they like to.
That's where they get you.
Pile on everything, and they don't want to be too specific without. And that's the part where it says about sets of a specific set of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that there's specific set of circumstances that could say, well, that person has to be wearing red shoes, otherwise you cannot, discharge a firearm.
Right.
Okay.
And see, that's the weird thing between you and me, because I know Pennsylvania, you have to get a permit, right? Am I correct on that? To own a firearm?
To own a firearm, yes.
Okay. See, up here in Vermont, which is this is actually the reason why I moved up here, I don't have to get a permit. I can just go to the gun store and walk out with one. Which I love, very much so. I can get it the same day. They do the FBI background check, and you're done. No permit, nothing.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking you're talking about concealed weapons. No.
Oh, okay, no. Okay.
For a regular firearm, no, there is no permit required. Like you have to have a concealed carry permit, obviously.
See, I don't have to get that up here either.
Oh, really?
No, I can just carry it. Yep. And that is actually a good thing because in the state of Vermont, when they did the Constitution up here, they said they specified it even more so that like you are, and nobody can restrict you on having a gun and what you can do with it. Which I wish every other state did that. But now everybody kind of thought, oh, it's in the Constitution. Nobody's going to fight that. Wrong they were. But anyway, so going back to these riots and stuff. So this next one happens in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is coming from the Washington Examiner. And the title is Mafia Tactics. Black Lives Matters threatens Cuban-owned business with list of demands, sparking a counter-protest. So, essentially what was happening was Black Lives Matter was going through the city, and they were demanding, they had like a list of demands that they wanted these restaurants to do. Now I'm trying to see if I can find the demands. actually. Here we go. Here's the list of demands. Okay. Hate when they like, here's this article, and then it's like, they actually don't have it. Oh, okay. So they were checked out. So one of the demands was they wanted them to sign a contract that demands the business match representation of black products and employment with the city of their population of 20%. It called for diversity training for businesses to donate 1.5% of their monthly profits to an organization like Black Lives Matters. And if they don't meet their representation target on the shelves, so that's what I think was referring to black products. Yeah, so essentially they've switched to mob tactics, and they're demanding these businesses to front 1.5 donations to Black Lives Matters, and if they're forcing them to do diversity training. Essentially, if they don't meet with these demands, their businesses are going to be attacked. Again, this is 100% mafia tactic. This is what happened in New York. And apparently some businesses were going to go along with this. And they were going after an LGBT neighborhood as well. And these people are supposed to be on the same side. This is funny. I love when these leftist guys go after their own. But yeah, so luckily, I don't know. This happened. This was the 3rd. But apparently they went after the wrong person. So it was one of the businesses they tried going after was of a Cuban immigrant who, again, he would be considered mixed, or darker skin, that Black Lives Matters is supposed to be rooting for, and Martinez, I guess that's what his name is. He owns a restaurant, I'm gonna butcher this, but it's La Boyega de Nima.
Hold on, I have a thought. Where are we at?
This was the one from the Washington Examiner.
Yeah, no, I'm on the article. I'm just trying to see where it actually says about.
Oh, it has the right thing too. I have to start highlighting some of the stuff we're doing.
I was gonna say, I apologize.
But anyway, so while you're looking, I'm below the picture of Biden. I don't know if you see that.
I just pass it really quick.
He put up a sign that says "No to Socialism in America," and then it says "Justice for all." We are peaceful people, but don't tread on us. And in the article, it goes on that he's very upset that he's attacking the black-brown establishment. He's like, but you're in the name Black Lives Matter. He's like, you should be rooting for me. And they should be. He honestly, and he's an escapee from communism. He arrived here, looks like it says back in 2015. Good for him. And he should, and this guy, I feel for him because he probably came here with nothing or very little. And look at this, he's already started his own business. He's an entrepreneur. These guys are trying to shut him down. But he fought back, and a whole bunch of other people fought back as well. Apparently there were a lot of counter protests. Like, yeah, you're not doing this here, man. Thank God, because it's such a shame. Now this next article kind of leads into the same one. I believe it's from the same. This one actually takes place in Nebraska. The same tactic was being done on them. This is from the Washington Examiner as well. But the title is Omaha Restaurant Forced to Close Following Numerous Threats to Owners Related to a Confederate Named Menu Item. Same thing. They were forcing him to, they wanted him to change. They issued a public apology, while others demanded the restaurant donate $500 to $1,000 to an African American organization, essentially Black Lives Matter. And look,
can I just, like,
no, go ahead.
This whole concept boggles my mind, right? Like, and I'm gonna use this as an example. Since I was a little kid, I never, things like, pancake syrup and Jemima.
Yeah.
I've never looked at it, and I've never heard anybody, and I mean in, like, across the board, across the spectrum, I don't think anybody ever thought it's racist to call that syrup Aunt Jemima and have a picture of a black woman on it. It was not, to me, it was never like a derogatory term. Like, it's, like, if anything, from where we've come as a country, like, it's a product. And I'm being honest, I don't know. I'm only assuming it was created by a black woman. I don't know. I don't actually know that.
So let me tell you real quick. You're 100% right. If this is what frustrates me. You and me are like, and this is why we've always got along. You and me love history.
Mm.
So the history of Aunt Jemima is one of Aunt Jemima, the original. I believe she actually was a slave. Don't quote me on that, but I'm like about 90% sure. She essentially made the brand Aunt Jemima, and it was great. And General Mills was like, "You have something. Let us pay you for your namesake and for your likeness." She got rich, like filthy rich off that. Her family today is still very, very, very well off. Her family has actually spoken out against the change because they're like, this is our great-great-grandma, built herself out of nothing, out of slavery, made her own company, and and got rich. That's the American dream right there, right? Like, she started from slavery, ended up out on top. She took, that's the American dream. That is why America is so great, because that can happen. You can be dirt poor and then turn yourself into a millionaire with hard work, dedication, trials and errors. But that is literally the American dream and the American way. You have the right to start your own business to do that, and that's what she did. And even though they've changed her likeness, I believe, a couple times, come on, like, Black Lives Matter saying that's racist. How is that racist? Come on, like, it was her and they changed her and Uncle Ben, I believe, correct? The rice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know the story about Uncle Ben. That might be the same thing. Seriously, I don't equate Uncle Ben to racism, to slavery or anything. I look at the Uncle Ben box and like, that's some good rice right there.
Yeah. Like, and even make it dumb it down even more, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm buying the product and I like the product, how does that make me racist? If I was racist, it wouldn't be in my home.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
It wouldn't be in my home. It wouldn't be, because that ideology would say, I don't want that, likeness of someone just based on the color of their skin. I don't want that in my home. Well, that's not at all. And again, I'm not speaking for everybody. That's me. That's why I look at it and say it's silly, because I don't equate any of those products like that to skin. Like,
and
you're like, and if you know the background and the story of it, like you shared, about that, you look at it and say that's awesome. Like, that's someone who came from a very bad situation and in a completely screwed up time, and made something huge of themselves. Like, made something that's lasting. Like, her family is still benefiting from it.
Oh yeah.
And that is awesome. Like, there's nothing about that you could look at and say, yeah, that's racist. To me, I look at it and say that's silly.
No,
like,
you're right. So, and just because, and this is why I swear these guys just like, I don't know what their message is. I don't know what they want, because they're all over the place. Because if they knew that story, which I highly doubt they do you think they would want to get rid of that then?
Well, correct, and that's what I'm not understanding. Like, and I don't know. I don't know, because I haven't really looked. I heard the news articles. I don't know what they're looking to change it to. Like,
well, apparently they're just getting rid of it altogether. That's it.
Oh, they just want to do away with it.
Yeah, like there's no.
Then to me, that you're actually hurting the black community.
Yeah, because essentially, I see her as a hero of the black community.
Like those are the people you should be like, why not tell that story? That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story. Like,
isn't
that what you want to, tell your kids about and teach them about? Not, well, this was a thing, and now it's not. It's no longer a thing because it's racist. Because as a child, they're going to be like, well, why? Because children ask questions. They ask questions all the time. Why? Why is it racist?
Yeah, and honestly, and this is why I, and this will be another topic some other time, because I think this will go down a whole other rabbit hole. But why with the technology we literally have this device in front of us at all times. It's strapped to us. You don't go anywhere without this thing. It would take you 2 seconds to look up the history of Aunt Jemima. You literally probably just have to type in the history of Aunt Jemima, and it'll pop up for you. But these people, it's like, it's too much of a burden for them to even do that. Instead, they just want it gone and out. Yeah, man, I don't know. And now they're going after pretty much anything. Same thing with statues. And this, I know we were going to talk about this, I think, when we started planning this thing out. But that was weeks ago now. Them trying to knock down statues of Abraham Lincoln. Again, why would you do that? Why? He's literally in the statue that they're talking about getting rid of. And that might have changed, obviously. But in the statue they were trying to get rid of, it was Abraham Lincoln, like, releasing the chains of slaves, and the slaves are rising up to be equal to everybody else. Why would you get rid of what's the statue in New York? It was of not Thomas Edison. Why am I thinking Thomas Edison? Theodore Roosevelt. Same thing. I believe it's the statue in front of the Smithsonian, which I've been to. Beautiful statue, beautiful place. And in one side of him is an American native, and the other one is I believe it's a black person. I don't think it's a slave, but it's a black person. And the meaning behind it, which I can't remember off the top of my head, so I don't want to say anything and put my foot in my mouth. But I think it was referring to the good things he's actually done with both of them. That he spent time with Native Americans, and I believe he kept pushing to equal out black people's rights and everything. He was a great proponent of that. Again, Theodore Roosevelt, such a crazy story. Like, I don't know if you realize this. Maybe people don't. But he couldn't walk when he was a very sickly child. I don't think he was supposed to live, if I'm remembering my history correctly. But man, he started working out. He got strong. He made the Rough Riders. He did all this stuff. Same thing. He was a very big proponent for state parks, environments and stuff. But again, we're going off topic, but we'll switch back. But yeah, I don't know why these people are trying to get rid of these. I would just consider them heroes. Instead, they're calling them racist. They're calling it racist. But anyway, what time are we at? We're just at an hour right now. We're good. We can keep going. Let's see. So we're talking about the Omaha restaurant forced to close. Yeah. Anyway, they're trying to get it closed because of they have one thing on their menu that's out for named for Robert E. Lee, which, by the way, he did not like slavery. Just so everybody knows.
Yeah, I was about to say that he was not.
Never owned a slave. He was very religious, and he just fought for the Confederates because a lot of people don't realize it was about again. It was about slavery, but it was a lot deeper than that. It was about states' rights and stuff, and the federal government telling states what to do. Granted, yes, I am very happy slavery is done. I'm very happy the Union won because we have progressed so much farther than if the Confederates won. Just putting that out there. Do you have anything else about these riots, though?
I mean, yes, but there may be that may go down a rabbit hole of its own. There's quite a lot to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, all this all kind of just it goes down so many different roads. I will sum it up with this. I think these organizations, Black Lives Matter, and let me start by saying this. I do believe Black Lives Matter. I believe white lives matter, and I believe every life matters.
Yeah.
There is it should be no color. It should be lives. Like, the important word in that whole sentence is lives. Like, it isn't about, and to say no lives matter until Black Lives Matter, well, to me it's like, kind of counterproductive what you're saying. Like, and I don't think as a whole, yes, does racism exist? Absolutely. Does racism exist in this country? 100%.
Yeah.
I have seen it. I have heard it. Next to it, like I've seen it in all different types of facets, and it's not the majority.
No.
People's views. You have these other small organizations that are some are extremely far right, some are not even left or right. It kind of, they're in their own little realm, I would say. Like, there's many groups that just they're fueled by hate. Like, that's what it comes down to.
And you're 100% right. There always will be racism. Let's be honest. I think it is though it is a extreme minority of people. You just hear about it on the news a lot because that gets clicks.
Correct.
So when something does happen that is considered racist, it is front page news. So people think, I do think people think there is more racism than there really is. And unfortunately, it is just because of the media. It just perpetuates that. Yeah, I do think it is a very, very small minority. Again, like 60s, there were still Ku Klux Klan members running around, doing all that stuff. You don't hear about that today because they're essentially in hiding.
It's small pockets. Like, okay, here in central Pennsylvania, you'll hear every now and again, oh, there's a Ku Klux Klan rally going on in Gettysburg, or in this part, and like you hear about it, okay. And I always click the news because I'm just it always still kind of triggers something. I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. It's still a thing. That's what I always think. I'm like, there's still a thing.
Yeah.
Like, how is that even, like, what?
And
you read this, and then you see pictures of it. It's even better when they take pictures, because it is such just a hodgepodge of this small group, usually with this, like, the background is always, something by a set of stairs or like a statue or something. Yeah. And you look at this group and you think, like, there's 20 or 30 of them. Okay, well, the population pretty much where I'm located in this county is 500,000 people.
Yeah.
So 30 or 40 people out of 500,000. I'm going to guess that some of those come from out of state too.
Oh, so, yeah, they do. Yeah.
If you take it and say even 15 or 20 people, that is such a small minority that, you're always going to have whackers. You're always going to have, those people that are just, they're out there. Like,
yep.
God love them and God help them, but they're I don't know what it's going to take. Like,
yeah,
they're always going to be out there. But you're right. It is such a small minority.
And I'm sure the counter protests that they have are like 10 times.
And I love that too. Like, it's like, great. If they want to be out there and they want to be, their freedom of speech, I understand that. I respect it. I agree with it. If they want to get a little crazy, I don't really care that some people want to get a little crazy and start throwing bottles at them either. You know what? Like, fight fire with fire sometimes. But, that's a whole different beast.
Yeah. And no. and it's so weird because you see these Antifa, these BLM guys walking up to people, calling them white supremacists when they don't agree with them.
Right.
And that's not the way to do stuff. Like, yeah, you're just perpetuating that stereotype. I think you're just fueling the fire when they do that. I don't think it'll change anybody's mind, but I think it's I don't know, I think it's fueling their fire, honestly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Open discussion is a thing to have. Like, it's great to be able to have an open discussion, and yeah, I agree. Like, okay, if the community has questions or problems, or they want some answers from police departments and stuff like that, that's great. Hold a community night, and let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. But you will catch, like, it's that old thing. You catch a lot more flies with honey than you do vinegar. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, texting Aubrey. She's on her way home. No, yeah. But to close that, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more. And there's so much to see this, man. We missed so much because it's like Trump also did a bunch of he put stuff in place, so the federal government could actually help these cities and stuff clamp down. And what I did want to bring up too, real quick. This was just not that long ago, and then of course my feed refreshed, but I can't find it anymore. The story was that Trump was saying that these places where there's still riots and stuff, that they should be, if this keeps up, they need to deploy the National Guard. And I agree with that because I think a lot of people are, well, let's face it, a lot of these cities where this is happening, especially in Minnesota and stuff, Michigan, like Chicago and New York, if they don't want to clamp this down, like, all those businesses are probably dead and gone. They're not coming back just because of COVID and now rioting and people burning the place down.
And people are leaving. Like, you're seeing leaving, and when I say that, it isn't what the news wants to say. Oh, hordes of white people are leaving the city. No, it's not that. It's people in general hardworking people who say, wait a minute, I've worked for 30 years of my life, and I put money into this house, and this is my community, and they're going to burn it down? Why would I want to be here? I think any person would say that. If you look at anybody and say, do you want to stay in a place where they're going to come and riot on your front lawn, and they're going to trash your home, and they're going to attack you? Do you want to stay there? No.
Oh, and by the way, we're not letting the cops help you. You know, right. You're on your own. Yeah.
Right. We want to defund the police, actually. We don't want the police.
Yeah.
We don't think people should be put in prison for committing crimes. Well, I've got news for you. Like, there's a reason why there's a legal system. Mm-hmm. We didn't make it just because we were bored and had nothing to do. Like,
yeah.
It was created for a reason.
And I know, I see. I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole. No, you're good, because see, again, this is a lot of stuff that's happened. We were talking about it. We were trying to get all this equipment and all this software and stuff set up. Yeah, and you're right. And all these people are leaving, and I don't blame them. Especially they're all leaving these cities for suburbs, for anywhere else. Especially I've been seeing this in New York and California, which I believe Joe Rogan, if anybody does listen to him, you already probably know he's leaving for Texas. He's leaving California for Texas, which I don't blame him, because he's even talked about it if you listen to his podcast. Yes, so everybody's leaving, and I don't have the story pulled up in front of me right now, but it was the governor of New York, Cuomo, was like begging people not to leave. He's like, come on back, I'll have a drink with you, you know, because and Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, this idiot, he's pushing everybody out. Yeah, and he's like, you know, like curfews, and I don't know about curfews, but he's like, yesterday he announced that he was setting up checkpoints at all entrances into New York for like COVID tests, and then that you would have to go into quarantine for 14 days before you could do anything. That's essentially killed the tourist industry for New York. And again, like you said though, why would you want to stay when you have put your hard work into this store, business, or home, whatever? Why would you want to put your work into it when the governor or when the mayor tells the cops, stand down, and these rioters are just burning the place to the ground? Why would you? No sane person would want to stay.
No.
And now New York City's facing this, like, they're probably going to go bankrupt because all their tax and everything is gone. Their whole tax base is gone.
And to give you a blip of the article, so it was from August 5th, because I read that article, and that's something I just want to mention, the checkpoints you spoke about.
Yeah.
Out-of-state travelers could face up to $10,000.
Yes.
That's 10 big ones, people. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Or to break it, they break New York City's 2-week quarantine rule, and checkpoints will be set up at entry points into the city. That seems, I don't know, kind of very militaristic, which is funny in its own because we don't like that. That's not what we're supposed to be about.
Well, I think it's funny because they call Trump a fascist. when these guys are just doing it themselves, you know, like, oh my gosh, like, oh my goodness.
This is better to say, and I quote Mayor Blasio, the idea is we don't want to penalize people, we want to educate them to make sure they're following the rules.
Yeah, right. No,
it's just there's a lot of
there's a lot of BS in there. I mean,
that whole thing is full of BS.
Again, it's like, look, New York. Apparently, somebody showed me the statistic that, you know, the 1%ers, the ones that make more than, I think it's like 50,000, something like that. Mm-hmm. They make up 50% of the state's budget in taxes. They're all gone. They're getting the hell out of there. They're going to Florida. They're going to these not just. They're going to Connecticut. They're gone, and some of them are probably coming up here to Vermont. They're probably not coming back. The taxes in New York City are atrocious. I barely survived when I was in the Marine Corps recruiting station out there because it's so expensive. Like I literally had I had a studio, and I got lucky because I was a little bit further out in Long Island. If I lived in New York City, like a couple people did, their apartments were literally the size of my office where I'm at right now. It's a closet, a big closet, walk-in closet essentially. So now what I would put money on now that all these people are gone, they're gonna start taxing the lower income. They have to. They make up this deficit. They're not making money. And apparently it was when Hurricane Sandy hit, and that was New York City was shut down for 2 days, and that was a $2 billion loss for the city, in just taxes and tourism. It's $2 billion. And I was laughing because I'm like, no wonder they want to defund the police because they don't have any money.
Right.
So they're probably like, yeah. Now they're like, oh, this is the time to defund them because we're out of money, guys. Hey.
And let's not forget, Aaron, that's the greatest city in the world. Quote unquote.
Has songs made after it and everything.
Greatest city in the world.
Yeah, that's all.
But you got to go through a checkpoint, and if you don't follow it, we're going to fine you $10,000.
And my thing is, who in the right mind want to go right now? After reading that, what tourist is going to go there, wait 14 days in a hotel room that you're paying for, that's super expensive. Why would you go? I swear, de Blasio is just pushing these people away.
Just do a fun little presentation for our viewers here. So, New York City hotel cheap. Right now, we're going to do the Hampton Inn, Manhattan, Times Square, Central.
Yep, tourist. It's a tourist area. Yeah.
So, if I was to go there today, actually I can't go there today because they're booked out, surprisingly.
Oh, really?
So, from the 13th. So we would be at, just in case you want to go, but you have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Allotted time. Right? Oh, calculating.
It's probably it hasn't been used in days.
You can pay roughly $1,162 to sit in a hotel for 14 days before you can even start to enjoy your vacation.
Now, yeah, and also...
And that's not including food.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You have to order...
So...
Yeah.
It's about $1,600. Probably more, actually.
Probably more. I'd say roughly...
Your whole entire stimulus check.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's your stimulus plus some. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. And I don't blame... And that's why I've also been seeing housing prices have shot up. Everybody's leaving. Why would you want to? And it's again, why would you want to stay in a city that's taking away your rights and forcing you to to do some of this crazy stuff? And same thing as a business. And I feel bad for some of these businesses because they're probably stuck.
Oh yeah.
Because they probably sunk all their life savings and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, think about how many you lived in New York.
Mm.
I've been to New York. I mean, you walk down the street. How many little mom and pop pizza places? This place to eat. This place. They can't.
Yeah.
Code them hard enough. But a lot of these places have shut their doors for good. Like, truly shut their doors. We can't do it. We can't afford to not be open.
And it's the same thing. And then the cities still expect them to pay, to pay their taxes. The landowners still, you have to pay your rent still, because the landowners still have to pay the mortgage. They have to pay their
insurance. You're paying overhead. You're paying, like, you're still paying for electric. You may have nothing in those freezers. You're still paying for the electric to stay on. Like,
yeah, and that's another thing. Like, you have to pay for food still. Like, and the food that they probably had at the start of this probably spoiled. They had to throw it away. That's how many thousands of dollars of food went out down the drain. Yeah. But all right. So we'll come back to that with probably another podcast. Might go more into depth than that after I do some more research. We won't do the China stuff today because I think that'll just take us way too long. I want to end this on a conspiracy note.
Good.
So, one of the things that's happening right now, that again, it's very much under the radar of everybody, though everybody used to talk about it with the memes, it's Jeffrey Epstein. Some stuff has been starting to come out about, I can't pronounce it right now. What did we say it was? Ghislaine?
Ghislaine.
Yeah, Ghislaine.
I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Yeah, I'm not. Rotten hell. Ghislaine, whatever it is. Maxwell. Ms. Maxwell. I'll say that. So there have been a couple things. So I'm going to start with the New York Post one, which I think was the last one I sent you. So Ms. Maxwell right now is being moved around. She is not staying in one place like Epstein was. Actually, I think she was at one point at the same place that Epstein was located in. Yeah, I think that's actually where she first went in. But she's not staying there. She is being moved around. New York, I don't know if she's just staying in New York. They don't specify. They just know they are worried that somebody is trying to assassinate her. Which goes to the conspiracy that Epstein really didn't kill himself. And I believe I actually sent you an article a while ago that they were worried that she was going to kill herself, that she was on suicide watch. Which, again, same exact thing that Epstein fell under, which I was just laughing at when I sent that to you. Like, man, this really does not, it really writes itself. And yeah, in the article it says there are also fears that over a coronavirus outbreak in the system, which could kill her. I'm not sure how old she is. Epstein was 66 when he died. Can you look that up for me?
I am. I'm on it.
She looks around maybe the same age as him.
She is 58 years old.
Okay, so she is in that, if she were to get COVID, there is a possibility. She's in that age range, I guess you could say. So I guess they do have to take it a little more seriously with her. Anyway, yeah, so they're worried that somebody is trying to kill her. Which, knowing the dirt, I think that she has, especially with Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton are the two big ones that have been named so far.
Right.
I don't blame them. I'd be worried too, because until you get all the information out of her that you want, yeah, because I think she does have, supposedly there were like videotapes that she has as well, that I believe Epstein had, but she had, I guess, copies, or she knew where they were, of all of these people that they had dirt on. So yeah, I would want to know, especially if, she's part of that pedo island. I would want to know everything before she gets killed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it says here that she wears paper clothes and sleeps on a bare mattress so she can't hang herself, like Epstein did. Oh man, this is horrible. This is so funny at the same time. Like, oh my gosh, like this. If I were to put money on somebody were to die, it'd be her. um, yeah, 'cause I swear, and other people, not just me, other people are saying like she knows everybody because she was so close to Epstein. But the one person we are going to talk about today is Bill Clinton and Epstein, and her. So,
What a threesome.
What was that?
I said, what a threesome.
Yeah. Oh. Especially now, like if you see Bill Clinton, if you've seen him recently, he looks like death.
Age has not done him well. I wish the best to you, former president, but age is not doing you well.
But see, I will say I don't. Man, if all this is true, I hope he.
If all this is true, he is. I mean, that's a whole different podcast. I can get into my personal beliefs about Bill Clinton, but
yeah,
you know, yeah. If what I've read is true, man.
Well, and this goes, I don't know, this could be a whole other podcast, but knowing that he lied before, that's why he got kicked out of office. Or he didn't get kicked, he left.
He didn't get kicked out, but very close to it.
Yeah. And because of what him lying because of what he did, and other stories that have come forward, it doesn't surprise me about this. And this has kind of been known before that Hillary Clinton's had to kind of keep a leash on him because of stuff like this. But what happened was, all this stuff has kind of been coming out because of all these investigations. Oh, excuse me. Oh, hiccup. I believe this actually happened in This is actually from 2016, when they first started investigating Epstein the first time. Where is it? I think it's from this it's Twitter. Yeah. This is actually coming from disclose.vt. I don't know who it is, no affiliation whatsoever. But I was trying to find this, and a whole bunch of other people had actually put this out. But there's actually been so much coming out, judge-wise. So this was a question that had come up. And again, this is from 2016. So JS, I'm not 100% sure who that is. I think that's like the investigators. But they ask. So it's hold on. This is between the investigator and V, which is Virginia. Juoff. I don't know how to pronounce her name either. I'm very sorry if I'm butchering that. I'm just gonna call her Virginia. So the investigator, when you say you asked him why is Bill Clinton here, where was he? V, which is Virginia, on the island. When were you present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island? Who else was there? Virginia, Ghislaine, Ms. Maxwell, Emma, and there was 2 young girls that I could not identify. I never really knew them all anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York. So that place is him on the island.
Correct.
And then a couple months ago, so this is actually from 2015, and this is from Newsweek. Yep, so that's what we just read. That he was on the flight logs 11 times going to this island. Holy crap. Why is this not front page news? that Bill Clinton, a former president, again, a former president, like, has been to this pedo island 11 times. I don't. Go ahead. Cause,
The funny thing with it is, it seems to be this reoccurring thing where, quite frankly, I'm just going to put it in terms, it's going to be blunt. Bill Clinton likes to dip his hand in a cookie jar quite a bit. And he's gotten caught quite a bit, right? And it's one of those, like, okay, how many times is this just kind of been like a slap on the wrist, like, well, don't do that, Bill. You shouldn't do that, Bill. You shouldn't do that, Bill. Like, it is if you want to take, oh my word, and they have, look at the, that's a whole different ball game, I understand that, but look at any type of allegations against President Trump, and it is everywhere. You go on any type of news outlet, it is plastered, it is 6 pages long, it is every link you can click on.
Yep.
Nothing but that. And for days,
yeah.
It's like that.
And real quick, so I'm not being, so people don't say I'm being biased. Trump has been mentioned in these documents, right? Now I implore people to actually, if you can, go look through them, because there's bits and pieces that are coming out, and there's actually been giant files. Now, Virginia, again, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, actually defends Trump a bit. Apparently Trump did go there. Again, I should have brought this up in front of me. But, she says that Trump never did anything. He was there, he didn't even flirt with anybody. Because I guess somebody was putting words in Trump's mouth, and Virginia was like, Virginia or this other lady, I can't remember what her name was like, no, he didn't flirt with anybody, he was just there.
Right.
And I believe, again, maybe we can dive deeper into this another time, like actually go through the entire story timeline, day by day as stuff came out. But around the same time, Trump had barred Epstein from coming to Mar-a-Lago. So this may have been around the same time. And also Trump, there's videos out there you can find as well that I found where Trump's like, yeah, Epstein and these people they're awful, and something should be done about them. And I think he was also and I think when he was talking about that, this was around 2016 when Epstein was being investigated the first time, where he essentially said, I hope something happens to him. And mind you, Epstein got away the first time. No, he got off somehow. And I think it's just because he had his hands everywhere. And yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I can't find it. I don't think it's even in this article. But yeah, so going back to Bill Clinton though. And I think part of it as well is because the mass media is Democratic, or is very leftist leaning, so they kind of protect their own. And Bill Clinton's a Democrat, so I think they're defending him, or they're trying to bury it as best they can.
Right.
But again, it's like this stuff is so damning. Like you would think any reporter worth their salt would want to jump on this and deep dive and try to get all this information, because this is a juicy story. This really is. A former president, a prince, lawyers, all go to this island, and now that we know what actually is going on there, you have to wonder, if they actually followed through with some of this stuff.
Right.
Like, essentially, it's trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, with most news, you have to kind of sort through it. Like there's like you have to do your due diligence. If you just read the headlines, my word, you'll never. You kind of have to dive into.
Well, and that's why I want to do this podcast with you, and with other people, and myself. This is why I wanted to do it, because stuff like this gets shoved under the rug, but it is extremely important, and I think people need to know actually what's going on. Same thing with the riots and stuff. There was 3 weeks where nobody was talking about these riots, and they were still going on. The same thing with this, though. It seems like since Epsteine died, her case has kind of been under the radar. And I really do hope Barr gets to the bottom of this. I don't know if I think he's running it. And I know that there's other people as well. But I hope she drops names. I hope she does, because if there is a pedo ring, which it's hilarious. Like years ago, do you know who's that guy? He's like, they're turning the freaking frogs gay or something. What is his name? Anyway, I'll remember it eventually. But there's this crazy guy. He's crazy. He really is. He's a big conspiracy guy. I keep bumping my mic. Everybody thought he was crazy. He was saying, the U.S. government has these pedos in it. They're these sex traffickers, and they're running the United States behind the scenes. Again, I never took that seriously, but this, all the stuff that's been happening right now, again, in 2020 has been freaking crazy, man. I'm thinking he was right.
Yeah.
He might, some of the stories that he was saying, he might have merit to it. And again, if Trump did something here, I hope he does get caught. If he seriously did say something.
Whoever's involved in it needs to be
put away for life or shot.
Needs to be tried and put away.
Yeah. Because again, these are underage kids, and sounds like they were put through hell.
Yeah, they're victims, and they were abused. Anybody who's been victimized or abused,
and this
needs to answer for it.
Yeah. So this story is not done. I hope she drops names on everybody. I want to. Before she goes to court or whatever, or at the day she goes to court, they're here's a list of everybody, and that same day, you see Barr, and you hear Barr, and he's at this moment, we're making these arrests, and then all across the country you're seeing these SWAT cars and crap coming and arresting these people. I hope that happens. I really do, and I hope it happens sooner rather than later. And that's one thing too I'm worried about. Not trying to veer off the subject, but I'm worried that if Trump loses, what happens to this case? Does it get pushed under the rug and we never hear about it again?
Right.
Because I think because same thing, Barr said, if Trump loses, he has to walk away. That's the Attorney General. Somebody else has to take his place. I'm worried that if Barr, because if you actually look at Barr and listen to him, he's a very dry person, which is a good thing. He's a very dry, just facts, which is what I like. So that's what I base off of my opinions off of. It's just facts. And him doing that, if he were to go, I think he's the only trustworthy person I could put money on that will actually get this done. Yeah, so hopefully more stuff starts leaking out, and I'll talk about it, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, for her, Yeah. I hope she lives long enough. I hope she doesn't get assassinated like Epstein.
So it is interesting. It is going to be an unfolding story. It's an onion. Like, to me, it's an onion, and you're just going to keep peeling back layers and layers and layers.
Yeah. Well, and also, to end on this note, did you read, this was a couple of weeks ago as well, there was a judge who was in charge of the Epstein case with Dachau Bank. Did you read the story?
No.
That maybe we'll talk about it next time. I'll just go into late details where the dude dressed up in a FedEx. Again, this is such like 2020 has been so freaking crazy. This story is essentially something come out of like a James Bond movie, where this guy dressed up as a FedEx truck delivery guy knocked on the door. It was her son, her husband, and she was there. Son opens the door. The FedEx guy shoots the son straight through the heart. Right? Goes in the house, tries to find her and the husband. Finds the husband. He was critically injured, and last I saw, he was still in the hospital. But he had to leave. He ran away before he could find her. Manhunt ensues, right? They find the guy. Suicided. I'm doing this in quotes. Shot himself through the head. This story is nuts. Like, after I read that story, I'm like, somebody is definitely trying to shut people up. And this is why, and it's funny that the entire collective of the United States was making memes and laughing when Epstein went to prison. And like, he's probably gonna die. And then he did, and we all laughed, and we're like, we all called this was gonna happen.
Right.
And then you get like the security guards were sleeping, and the cameras weren't working that day. It's like, okay, man.
I mean, how many
coincidences? Yeah.
That particular day. It's always like that. You hear that. It's always like, oh, the security camera wasn't working that day. Oh, it worked.
Yep.
364 days of the year, but that one day, man, it wasn't working.
And it's like, we put him in the prison that is underfunded and undermanned. It's like, oh my gosh, you can't make this up. Like, this is 100%. Like, yeah, like this is crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna keep talking about this whenever stuff comes out, because this just, man, everything that keeps coming out about this is just nuts. Like, it's literally like an action novel. It's like, oh, he killed himself, and we're gonna take a left turn here, and we're gonna try killing the judge.
Right.
Holy crap, man! Seriously, if I wanted to make like a book right now about like assassins and stuff, I would just be copy and pasting
So you
all
don't
this stuff.
really have to delve into your imagination. It's like this.
I'm just gonna change some names here, and yeah.
Exactly.
We're all set. Yeah. So yeah. So that's all I got for today. I think we're gonna be at an hour. We'll be at 2 hours actually, I think, because I remembered I stopped it halfway. Our recording.
Well, I'd like to do this when I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
I have one wish, and that'd be to do. I'd like to end at least me talking with a funny news article that I found.
Oh yeah.
News articles. So I'd like to do one every time I'm on. And the one I'm picking.
Yep.
You're probably gonna totally cut this out because you're like, you can't go there on this. I don't think it's that bad. This is a news article from metro.com.uk, so it's a UK website.
Mm-hmm.
And the news article is entitled "Mum Drinks Sperm Smoothies to Fight Off Coronavirus."
Oh my gosh.
This right here says, a mother of two believes that drinking smoothies with a shot of sperm have helped to boost her immune system and is helping prevent coronavirus. Tracy Kiss, 32, says she's not had a cold or flu for 3 years because of her concoction, which is made using donations from her boyfriend, and she takes 3 shots a week. She's a personal trainer and says, I found a free and vegan-friendly alternative method to boost the body's immune system. You don't always know what is in a pharmaceutical medicine. It is much better for the body to drink something that doesn't contain chemicals.
Oh.
So, for anybody out there thinking that I need a homeopathic remedy to the coronavirus, I implore you, do not drink sperm.
Yeah, it's not.
I've never been to medical school, but in my, I'm guaranteeing you, it is not helping.
In our not expert opinions, this won't help you whatsoever.
I've never drank sperm, but if I did, it wouldn't be because I'm trying to keep the coronavirus away. That's all I got.
Oh, man. Oh.
I thought that was humorous.
People are disgusting. No, let's do that, though. We'll try to do that after every episode, because some of these episodes are going to get probably real depressing. I'm not going to lie.
I'm about to start wearing paper clothes and sleeping on a bare mattress.
Well, anyway, man, thank you for joining me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining, and this is the BigWill Podcast. Bye, guys.